On today's episode of Watch JR Go, how much better has my 2022 F-250 been than the last one, my 2017? What is going on, guys? I am Watch JR Go, and like I said, today we are back with my 2022 F-250 because, as always, every time we make a video about it, it's time for it to be serviced. But we're going to talk about how much more reliable this one has been than the last one. Now, they're both, obviously, they were both basically completely loaded, power stroke, 6.7s, all the options, because the old one was a Platinum Ultimate and this one was a Limited. So they were outfitted basically exactly the same. But the old one didn't handle it nearly as well as this one has. So we're gonna get into this, but first we need to make a quick run to O'Reilly's and buy oil, buy a filter, and buy whatever else we might need to service this thing, because it is now at 16,666 miles, 0.6. That's, it might actually be a couple short of that, but I'll show it to you just to prove it. We're 7 miles short. 16659.3. Unfortunately, when it hits the number we're going for tomorrow, I've forgotten all about it and I won't have a picture. But I did get pictures of a bunch of other cool mileages on this thing, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.7. That was a good one. And the 33333s, 44444s, basically all the cool numbers on the odometer. It's like the second new thing I've ever had, right? The first new thing was the Goldwing, and then the second new thing was this. So it's cool to see those really low, but also really cool mileage numbers pop up on the display. All right, let's go get some fluids. All right, guys, we are here at O'Reilly's to grab some oil and a filter at least, and we'll see, we'll probably need a few other things for the truck. Let's get in here and get this thing sorted out. What's up, guys?
What's up?
I forgot, I've got one more cool thing other than needing oil and a filter.
What is that?
I broke it. I need a new one.
Oh no.
All right, thanks guys. Have a good one. We got everything we needed. Let's get back to the truck, do a little bit of work.
Oh no. Oh no.
So we're back with our oil change supplies. The same thing I run every time. Rotella T615 W40. It should be, I think, the best diesel oil in the game. And our Wix 57151 XP, same filter, everything from last time, same thing again. I'll probably run all that forever. It's crazy though, it's the most expensive oil change you can probably do on a diesel. The filter now, I don't think this filter was this much before. $41. Filter is crazy expensive. And then $100 and something, $120 in oil. It's almost a $200 oil change every time you have to service this thing. But let's talk about the old one. The old one was not so trouble-free. So this one, I think the only real trouble we've had with it so far was in between the first oil change and the second one. This will be the third one. The check engine light came on. I hooked the Autel up to this thing so we could scan it and see what the check engine light was for, and I accidentally hit quick erase and not report. They're like right beside each other, and I needed to know what the code was, and instead I deleted the code and it never came back. I haven't seen it since. But if there was a drawback to this truck, it's all of a sudden insanely loud. I'm not sure why, but it ran like nice and smooth, quiet before, like a Duramax or like a Power Stroke should. You should not be able to hear these diesels. And now all of a sudden it sounds like a clickety-clackety old Cummins for some reason. Before, nobody complained about it in drive-thrus, but now all of a sudden I'm getting the I can't hear yous. So I know it's not just my imagination, it did get a lot louder. That's also a problem my last one had, even though I got it with way more miles on it. It always had some kind of weird tick on the driver's side, but nothing ever broke there, so I don't know what it could have been. So the check engine light that disappeared and never came back, and this truck getting a lot louder are the only two actual issues I've had with it. We'll see if the engine getting a lot louder, which typically means there's something wrong with it, we'll see if that turns into an actual problem down the road or not. For now, I don't think it is. So let's get underneath this thing, change the oil, and then talk about the old one, and we'll compare the two. Got the toolbox back over here, got it cleaned up a little bit. I mean, it's still a little dirty, but we're missing a few sockets. I don't know where the 11 and the 13 are. And then this, the inch side was never a complete set, but I'm definitely missing that 7/16. Anyway, we pretty much got everything back, cleaned up, ready to do some work. Let's see, I think this truck, if I remember right, is a 17 to get the oil plug off. Turns out it's a 16. Let's get under there and pop this plug off. Also, the new Icon Creeper, love that thing. I've actually had this for a long time. We bought it while I was doing the Escalade, and I was rolling around on the floor over there at Eric's a lot, and I really needed it. And also, I don't like lifting this truck, so that's why we're doing this on the ground. This creeper is amazing, but Eric's neighbor, Tyler, who I was making a video with earlier today, he's had it for a long time because I wasn't using it, and I was like, feel free to borrow it. And we all love this thing. You've probably all used the plastic one that, like, if you're kind of a bigger dude, the middle rubs on the floor, it's like super common, or the wheels break off, all of that stuff. This one is solid, and it has magnets on the top that hold your tools. I know I've talked about it before, but I just really like this thing. All right, let's get under there. All right, we got it broken loose. Let's see what this carbon black oil looks like. It's also gonna be hot, so I'm gonna move the pan a little bit more. I was driving this thing around, picking stuff up all day, and I figure if we're gonna drive to St. Louis, I better get this done. Nailed it. Look at that diesel oil. It's always the worst oil. I was hoping this was a magnetic drain plug so I could see if there was any metal on the end of it. It's not, unfortunately. I went and checked it real quick after I wiped it off. And of course I could see there was no fuzzies on it previously. So I wiped it off, checked it, not magnetic. What a letdown. All right, let's get back under there and get the filter off. Still draining. It takes a long time to get 13 quarts out of these things. Also takes a long time to fill them. Oil change complete. Let's fill this thing back up and get on to how the old truck was compared to the new truck. Did I ever mention or even notice this is a dual alternator truck? I don't think my last one had dual alternators. It might have, you know, I've probably forgotten, but that is massive. They're probably like dual 140s or 160s. So this thing is ready to power a bunch of subwoofers I just need to put in it. All right, so one thing I don't have over here is funnels, so I figured I would just get in here, become one with the engine, and try to pour it without funnels. What else am I gonna do? And I know it can be done. So we're gonna spend a little bit of time getting ready here. And then we're just gonna try not to miss. Ooh, throttle body. Freaked me out, guys. Can we make this pour? Huh? No! Yes! Come on, this is a tough pour. 2.5 gallons, Bluetooth. Woo! Pouring in those 1 gallon bottles has nothing on this 2.5. That was painful without a funnel. Painful. Mostly because my knee started hurting on the power steering reservoir here. But everything else was no big deal. Unfortunately, I did miss a couple seconds there. I gotta wipe that off. I can see a little spill, just not too much. Well, we got this oil change wrapped up, and now we can talk about the old Platinum. That was a great truck, honestly. I absolutely loved that truck, and that's the reason that I have the exact same truck again in a 22. But the old one, if you guys remember, right when I bought it at 50,000 miles, it lost the DPF and the SCR. All of that stuff died. I rolled out of the dealership, started the 3-hour drive home from Oklahoma City, and right then the check engine light came on. So I bought it at CarMax. Obviously we had the bumper to bumper warranty, and I took it right back to CarMax and they replaced all of that stuff. It was thousands of dollars. That wasn't really a big deal though. Anytime you buy a car from CarMax, you got like 30 days where they cover everything no matter what. So the warranty didn't even really cover that. CarMax just takes care of that for you. That way you don't feel like you got screwed. You buy a car, it breaks like 2 days later. They're like, no problem, just bring it back, we'll fix it. It's a really, really good way to do business. I do love them for that. So then we got into a few other fun things with the 17, and I'm really hoping that those don't happen to this, and I'm really hoping the fuel system itself doesn't fail on this. But on one road trip back from Kansas City, we were bringing a car back on a trailer, filled this thing up with diesel, and 1 mile down the road from the gas station, there was just smoke and diesel all over the road. And the fuel line had blown off the back of the engine. That's what we eventually found out. And you know, it was down on power, but still running. We limped it to off the road so that we wouldn't be sitting there dumping diesel everywhere. And that was that. AAA brought the truck back and it got fixed. The warranty paid for it. That was definitely not a fun night. We spent a lot of time sitting on the side of the road waiting, and AAA took over a day to come get the truck and bring it back. But it got back and they paid for it, so I can't complain too much. Which reminds me, I need to use AAA because they replace a battery every year for you, and there's some car in here that could use a battery. I can tell you that. Also, the other big problem with this was the coolant hoses started leaking. I did have to put batteries in the old truck. I have noticed that this one just now, already acid coming out of these batteries. What is it? Is it a Ford battery thing? Is it diesels? I don't know what it is, but these batteries are always leaking. So the 17 had batteries in it. They started going bad. So I put new Fomoco batteries in them from the fleet section at O'Reilly's. They sell these, and I figured why not put the stock batteries back. So I did just that. I put the exact same batteries back in it, and they started leaking after, what, 6 months? I mean, this one's 1 year old, and the batteries are leaking. It's something about just Ford batteries. It's not really a problem with the truck, but I don't get it. That one over there is leaking a little bit too, and it's around these caps. It's destroying the battery hold down bracket. Hopefully they hand out these brackets like candy, because you really need to replace them in every truck. And I don't have like a high road salt, high humidity environment or anything like that here. This truck gets cleaned and taken care of, and I don't get it. There's no reason it should be doing this. Anyway, that's enough about the batteries. Then the radiator hose started leaking. I don't remember which one, but all the radiator hoses on this are held on by these little mechanical clips. You just pull them up, slide the hoses off, swap them out, put new ones on. It's a really nice system, just like the BMWs. I'm a big fan of it, but the O-ring went bad in one of the hoses. And luckily it wasn't the hose. The hose is pretty expensive. They're like $150, maybe $200. The O-ring, $3. And O'Reilly's had it. So swapped out the O-ring and we were good to go. So I think that's all the problems I had with the old truck. Oh, and then of course the trailer connected, trailer disconnected, trailer connected, trailer disconnected, trailer connected. They unplugged the old T-harness in the bed for the fifth wheel and put a new one in. That fixed that. You know, that's not really Ford's problem. I think the T-harness for the fifth wheel in it was actually aftermarket and it plugged right in. So as soon as they put a new one in there, that problem was solved. And of course, every once in a while we had issues with the front end shaking down. We did eventually find out after we had them replace like all of the suspension under warranty. Ford took care of that. CarMax took it to Ford. They took care of it. And of course, we worked with that Ford engineer to figure out what was bad before we took it in. And then we rotated the tires and it never did it again. So I would say like tires are a contributing factor, but they're also the main factor. Change the tires and no more death wobble. And I didn't even change them. I literally just rotated them. That means that truck went almost 80,000 miles on one pair of these Michelin Defender LTXs. And if I would have changed the tires early on, it would have never death wobbled again. But I wasn't sure that was the problem until I rotated the tires, and then it was gone forever. I did that when I did the brakes. And the brakes, obviously, that's a wear item. I'm never faulting them for that. That truck, I sold it with about 100,000 on it, 90,000 and change. So with this truck, we've had none of those problems. The only problem that might be getting ready to occur is battery failure again. I don't know why. Other than that, oil changes, drive it, and a lot of DEF. It almost seems like I'm using more DEF in this one. And I wouldn't doubt that the newer ones regen more often or have more stringent regen requirements. It could be a thing, but when we're pulling trailers with this, like when we are moving Eric's camper a bunch or always pulling trailers back and forth to the lake, it does eat DEF. When you're daily driving it, just putting stuff in the bed, it's not that bad, but once you really load it up, pulling it like Weston's Bobcat, you'll go through a gallon of DEF in a weekend, maybe 2 gallons. So you will really, really, really start eating the DEF once you get above 10, 15,000 on the hitch, something like that. So it does use a lot. That's the ownership experience so far. This one's definitely better. Although I wish I had a 23. The 23 is amazing. It's got the redesigned interior where the lock buttons aren't at a stupid placement. I really don't like the lock buttons on this one. And of course, all the half tons got the refresh way before the 3/4 tons. Unfortunately, I'm planning on keeping this one for 5 years. So I'll probably put 100,000 miles and change on it if I'm going at the rate of 16,000 miles a year, right? I'll probably get close to 100,000. Well, she's serviced, the oil life's reset, we're full of DEF, I checked that a second ago, and we're ready to rock and roll on this St. Louis road trip this weekend. That's gonna be another 1,000 miles, just over one day. We got one day, we're gonna down and back it. That's not gonna be a very fun day, but it'll get it done. 100% Jake's going with me. I guess we're picking up a motorcycle or something like that. I don't actually know what we're doing. It's his plan, but he needed a truck, and I was like, we can take mine. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shopwatchjairgo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And I will talk to you next time. It's a pretty color. Right now, you can actually see it changing from its like white, the yellowish white into its pearl white. I really do love it. It's because there's a few different colors in here. Looks great, works great. I had the front windows tinted a couple weeks ago, so they match. It should be the same percentage. Love that. It's just a great truck. All right, that's actually it.